The natural world in all its breathtaking splendor offers us scenes of unparalleled beauty. From the delicate unfurling of a fern frond to the vast, silent majesty of an ancient forest, there is a sense of peace and wonder to be found. We are drawn to its colors, its textures, and its intricate designs. But this beauty can be deeply deceptive. Nature is not always a gentle, welcoming embrace. It is a realm of survival, where life has evolved countless strategies to defend itself. And some of these defenses are formidable indeed. Among the verdant tapestry of our planet, there are plants that have perfected the art of chemical warfare. They stand silent, often appearing innocuous, yet they conceal potent toxins. Merely brushing against a leaf or snapping a stem can unleash substances that cause excruciating pain, severe chemical burns, and lasting damage. These are not plants to be admired up close or casually touched. They demand our respect and a wide berth, for an incautious encounter can have consequences that linger for weeks, months, or even a lifetime. In this journey we will explore some of the most notorious of these botanical assassins. We will begin with the infamous Giant Hogweed, a plant whose sap can inflict horrific injuries when exposed to sunlight, and we will venture on to meet other toxic flora you must learn to avoid. My purpose is to arm you with knowledge. By the end of our exploration, you will understand how to identify these dangerous plants, comprehend the threats they pose, and know how to protect yourself and your loved ones from their hidden dangers. Our first subject is a true titan of the plant kingdom, an invasive species known as giant hogweed. Its scientific name, Heracleum mantagasianum, hints at its Herculean stature. This is a plant that commands attention, not through delicate charm, but through sheer intimidating presence. It can soar to heights of over 4 meters or 14 feet, creating a formidable silhouette against the sky. Its colossal leaves, deeply incised, can span more than a meter across, casting deep shadows on the ground below. It is a spectacle of botanical architecture, but one that harbors a truly sinister secret. Look closely at its stem. It is thick, ribbed, and often mottled with distinctive purple or reddish blotches, as if nature itself has marked it with a warning. These coarse, white hairs that cover it are not for show. They are part of its defensive arsenal. At its apex, the plant produces enormous umbrella-like clusters of small white flowers known as umbels. These can be almost a meter in diameter, a vast flat-topped bouquet that can seem strangely beautiful from a distance. But this beauty is a siren's call, luring the unwary into a world of pain. The danger of giant hogweed lies not in a sting or a thorn, but in its sap. This clear, watery fluid is phototoxic. This means it contains chemicals called furanocoumarins, which on their own are relatively harmless. However, when this sap makes contact with human skin and is then exposed to the ultraviolet rays of the sun, a severe chemical reaction is triggered. The sap effectively strips the skin of its natural protection against sunlight, leading to a condition known as phytophotodermatitis. The consequences are devastating. Within 24 to 48 hours, the affected skin begins to redden and blister. These are not minor irritations, they are severe, painful, burn-like wounds that can be incredibly slow to heal. The blisters can grow large and filled with fluid, creating a grotesque and agonizing injury. The pain can be intense, and the risk of secondary infection is high. It is a truly horrific response to what might have been a fleeting moment of contact with the plant's sap. Even after the initial blisters have healed, the ordeal is far from over. The affected skin often remains discolored, with dark purple or brownish scars that can persist for years. But perhaps the most insidious long-term effect is the resulting photosensitivity. The skin where the sap touched can remain hypersensitive to sunlight for a decade or even longer. A brief exposure to the sun on a clear day can cause the burn to flare up again, a painful reminder of the plant's potent defense. The danger extends beyond the skin. If the sap were to get into one's eyes, the consequences could be catastrophic. The chemicals can cause severe inflammation and in the most extreme cases lead to temporary or even permanent blindness. This is an outcome of unimaginable severity stemming from a simple plant. The fine, misty spray of sap released when the plant is cut or trimmed is particularly hazardous for this very reason. For this reason, one must never attempt to handle or remove giant hogweed without extreme caution and full protective gear. Professionals who deal with its eradication wear full-body waterproof suits, gloves, and face shields to prevent any skin contact. Simply brushing past this plant in shorts on a sunny day could be enough to cause a serious injury. It is a living chemical weapon, masquerading as a wildflower. Its origins lie in the Caucasus Mountains of Southwest Asia, where it was admired for its ornamental grandeur. Victorian botanists, captivated by its exotic and imposing form, brought it to Europe and North America as a prized garden specimen. They could not have known the ecological and public health disaster they were unleashing. The plant escaped cultivation and has since run rampant along riverbanks, roadsides, and in waste ground. Each giant hogweed plant is a prolific seed producer. A single plant can generate tens of thousands of seeds, which can be carried by wind, water, or animals to new locations. These seeds can remain viable in the soil for many years, creating a persistent seed bank that makes eradication a long and difficult battle. It outcompetes native vegetation, creating dense monocultural stands that disrupt local ecosystems. Therefore, the most crucial piece of advice is one of absolute avoidance. Teach your children to recognize its towering form, its blotched stem, and its vast flower heads. If you encounter it on a walk, give it a wide berth. Do not be tempted to touch its leaves, break its stem, or pick its flowers. If you believe you have found it on your property, do not try to be a hero. Contact your local authorities or a professional invasive species removal service. Your health and safety are paramount. We now turn our attention to a far more common and insidious threat, one familiar to many across North America. It does not possess the monumental stature of giant hogweed, but in its own way, it is just as effective a defender. This is poison ivy, Toxicodendron radicans. Its notoriety is captured in a simple age-old rhyme that serves as a vital warning: leaves of 3, let it be. This simple mnemonic is the key to avoiding a deeply unpleasant encounter. Poison ivy is a master of disguise, a botanical chameleon. It can appear as a low-lying ground cover, weaving a treacherous carpet across the forest floor. It can grow as a small, unassuming shrub, or most impressively, it can manifest as a thick, hairy vine, climbing high into the canopies of trees, its woody stem clinging tightly to the bark. This adaptability allows it to thrive in a vast range of habitats, from woodlands and fields to riverbanks and even suburban backyards. The defining characteristic, regardless of its form, is its compound leaf structure. Each leaf is composed of 3 distinct leaflets. The central leaflet typically has a longer stalk than the 2 side leaflets, which often appear like a pair of small mittens. The edges of the leaflets can be smooth or toothed, and their appearance changes with the seasons. In spring they emerge with a reddish tint, turning a glossy green in summer and finally erupting into brilliant shades of yellow, orange, or red in the autumn. The danger of poison ivy lies in an oily resin called urushiol. This potent allergen is present in every part of the plant: the leaves, the stems, the roots, and even the berries. It is a remarkably persistent and powerful substance. Merely brushing against a leaf is enough to transfer the invisible oil onto your skin, your clothing, or your pet's fur. The oil can then be spread to other parts of your body through touch. The body's reaction to urushiol is a form of allergic contact dermatitis. For the majority of people, the first exposure may not cause a reaction, but it sensitizes the immune system. Subsequent encounters trigger a delayed response. Typically, 12 to 72 hours after contact, the telltale signs begin to appear. The skin becomes red, swollen, and intensely itchy. This is followed by the eruption of blisters or hives, often appearing in streaks or lines where the plant brushed against the skin. The itch is often described as maddening, a relentless torment that can disrupt sleep and make daily life miserable. Scratching, while providing momentary relief, is a terrible idea. It can break the blisters, leading to potential bacterial infections, and while the fluid from the blisters does not contain urushiol and cannot spread the rash, scratching can transfer the oil if it still remains on the hands from the initial contact. The severity of the rash depends on the individual's sensitivity and the amount of urushiol they were exposed to. For some, it may be a mild, localized annoyance. For others, it can be a widespread, severe, and debilitating condition requiring medical intervention, including treatment with corticosteroids to suppress the intense immune response. The rash typically lasts for 1 to 3 weeks, a long and uncomfortable ordeal. One of the most insidious aspects of urushiol is its longevity. The oil can remain active on surfaces for an astonishingly long time. It can linger on garden tools, clothing, shoes, and camping gear for months or even years in dry conditions. An unsuspecting person could get a rash simply by handling a contaminated tool or a jacket that was worn on a hike long ago. This makes thorough cleaning after any potential exposure absolutely critical. Furthermore, the danger is not limited to direct contact. Burning poison ivy is exceptionally hazardous. The urushiol oil vaporizes and is carried in the smoke and ash. Inhaling this smoke can cause the rash to develop on the lining of the nasal passages, throat, and lungs. This is a severe medical emergency, as the inflammation can cause extreme pain and potentially fatal respiratory distress. Never, under any circumstances, burn plants that you suspect may be poison ivy. To protect yourself, the first and best defense is identification and avoidance. Learn to recognize its leaves of 3 in all its forms and seasons. When hiking or working in areas where it might grow, wear long sleeves, long trousers, and closed-toe shoes. If you know you have made contact, the clock is ticking. Wash the affected area immediately with soap and cool water. Specialized poison ivy soaps are available, but vigorous washing with any soap can help to remove the urushiol oil before it has time to bind to the skin, which typically takes 10 to 20 minutes. We now travel to the tropical coastlines of the Americas, from Florida and the Caribbean down to northern South America. Here, in the sandy soils and mangrove swamps near the sea, grows a tree so toxic that it has earned the fearsome name, the Tree of Death. This is the Manchineel Tree. It holds the Guinness World Record for the most dangerous tree on Earth, and for very good reason. Every single part of it is laden with a cocktail of powerful toxins. The Manchineel often appears as a pleasant, shade-providing tree, reaching up to 15 meters or 50 feet in height. It has a reddish-gray bark and long, glossy, finely toothed leaves. It produces a small, greenish-yellow fruit that bears a superficial and deceptive resemblance to a small apple or crabapple. This innocent appearance belies a nature so virulent that even indirect contact can be hazardous. In many areas where it grows, these trees are now marked with a red band or a prominent warning sign to alert the public. The primary weapon of the Manchineel is its sap. It is a thick, milky white latex that oozes from any cut or break in the bark, leaves, or fruit. This sap contains a complex mixture of toxins, including the potent organic compound Forbol. Even a minuscule amount of this sap making contact with the skin will cause an immediate and violent reaction. It produces severe, burn-like blisters, inflammation, and excruciating pain. The allergic dermatitis it causes is far more severe than that of poison ivy. The fruit is perhaps the most deceptive and dangerous part. It is said to have a sweet smell and initial taste, a cruel trick that invites a fatal bite. Ingesting even a small piece of the Manchineel fruit is potentially lethal. It causes immediate blistering, swelling, and severe pain in the mouth and esophagus. The throat can swell shut, making breathing impossible. This is followed by intense gastrointestinal distress, vomiting, and internal bleeding. There is a historical account of Spanish conquistadors whose men died after eating these death apples. The dangers of the Manchineel tree extend beyond direct contact with its sap or fruit. The tree's toxicity is so pervasive that even standing beneath its branches during a rain shower is a significant risk. Rainwater drips through the leaves, carrying with it diluted concentrations of the sap's toxins. As this water runs onto the skin of a person seeking shelter, it can cause a severe blistering rash. The simple act of sheltering from a storm can lead to a painful injury. Even the air around the tree can be a source of harm. The pollen from its flowers is highly allergenic and can cause severe reactions in sensitive individuals. And much like poison ivy, burning Manchineel wood is a truly terrible idea. The smoke produced is incredibly toxic and irritating. Inhaling it can cause severe coughing, bronchitis, and intense inflammation of the eyes, potentially leading to temporary blindness. Indigenous Caribbean peoples were said to have used the sap to poison their arrows, and even to contaminate the water supplies of their enemies. The very wood of the tree, once carefully dried in the sun to neutralize the poisonous sap, has been used by Caribbean carpenters for furniture. However, this process is fraught with peril. The sawdust produced during cutting can be blown into the eyes and onto the skin, causing the same blistering and inflammatory reactions. It is a material that fights back against those who would try to use it. The tree plays a role in its native ecosystem, primarily as a highly effective coastal windbreak, its dense root system helping to prevent beach erosion. Its toxicity is its ultimate survival mechanism, a near-impenetrable shield against herbivores. No animal, save for a few specialist reptiles that live on its branches, dares to consume its foliage or fruit. The stories surrounding this tree are not mere folklore. They are stark warnings grounded in biochemical reality. If you are ever fortunate enough to visit the beautiful tropical beaches where the Manchineel grows, heed the warning signs. Do not touch the tree. Do not eat its fruit. Do not stand under it, especially not in the rain. Do not even think of using its branches for a campfire. Admire this marvel of evolutionary defense from a great distance. Its existence is a powerful reminder that in nature, some things are best left completely and utterly alone. The Manchineel Tree does not offer second chances. Its title, The Tree of Death, is not hyperbole. It is a literal description of its potential. It is a living monument to the lethal power that can be hidden within an ordinary-looking plant. Our next plant is far less likely to cause a life-threatening injury, but it is responsible for a vast amount of misery and discomfort around the world. It is a common weed, found in temperate regions across Europe, Asia, and North America, often growing in damp, nutrient-rich soil in woodlands, gardens, and disturbed ground. This is the stinging nettle. Its name is a direct and accurate description of the unpleasant experience it delivers. At first glance, the stinging nettle is an unremarkable plant, typically growing between 1 and 2 meters tall. It has a rigid green stem and dark green leaves that are serrated and heart-shaped, arranged in opposite pairs along the stem. The entire plant, especially the underside of the leaves and the stem, is covered in a multitude of tiny hollow hairs. These are not soft, downy hairs, they are hypodermic needles, evolved to perfection. These specialized hairs are called trichomes. Each one is a fine, silica-based tube, brittle at the tip. When you brush against a nettle, even lightly, the fragile tips of these hairs break off, leaving a sharp point that easily penetrates the skin. The pressure of the contact then compresses the bulbous base of the hair, injecting a complex cocktail of chemicals directly into the dermis. It is a remarkably efficient and instantaneous delivery system for its defensive fluid. The chemical brew injected by the nettle is designed to cause immediate irritation. It contains several active compounds, including histamine, which is a key driver of allergic reactions, causing inflammation and itching. It also contains acetylcholine, which causes a burning sensation, and serotonin. While serotonin is known as a feel-good neurotransmitter in the brain, on the skin it contributes to the perception of pain. Formic acid, the same chemical found in ant venom, is also present, adding to the stinging feeling. The result is an immediate and intensely unpleasant sensation. A sharp, stinging, burning pain erupts at the point of contact, quickly followed by an insistent itch. The skin becomes red and inflamed, and small raised welts or hives often appear, marking the precise locations where the trichomes made their mark. The discomfort is acute and can be quite distressing, especially for an unsuspecting child or gardener. While the initial intense pain usually subsides after a few minutes, the itching and a dull burning sensation can persist for several hours, or in some cases even a full day. The experience is memorable enough that anyone who has been stung by a nettle learns to recognize and avoid the plant with great respect on all future encounters. It is a lesson in plant identification taught by direct, unpleasant experience. Despite its fearsome reputation, the stinging nettle is not without its uses. In fact, it has a long history of use by humans. Once cooked or dried, the stinging properties of the plant are completely neutralized. The leaves are highly nutritious, rich in vitamins A and C, iron, potassium, and calcium. For centuries, nettles have been foraged and used as a leafy green vegetable cooked in soups, stews, or brewed into a herbal tea. Furthermore, the tough, fibrous stems of the nettle have been used for millennia to produce textiles. Much like flax or hemp, nettle fibers can be processed to create a strong, linen-like cloth. Evidence of nettle textiles has been found in Bronze Age burial sites, indicating its importance to ancient cultures. It is a plant of profound duality, a source of pain and a source of sustenance and material. But for the unwary hiker or gardener, it is the sting that defines the plant. To avoid it, learn to recognize its characteristic serrated leaves and squarish stem. Wearing long trousers and sturdy gloves when walking through overgrown areas or weeding a garden is the most effective preventative measure. Its habit of growing in dense patches means that stumbling into one can result in dozens if not hundreds of stings simultaneously. Interestingly, folklore often suggests that the dockleaf species, which frequently grows near nettles, can be used as an antidote. Crushing a dockleaf and rubbing its juices on a nettle sting is a traditional remedy. While the scientific evidence for its effectiveness is weak, the cooling sensation of the juice and the psychological effect of applying a remedy can provide some subjective relief from the sting's irritation. The act of looking for the dockleaf also provides a useful distraction from the initial pain. We conclude our survey with a plant that masterfully combines exquisite beauty with deadly toxicity. It is a plant so attractive that it has been cultivated and planted in gardens, parks, and along highways in warm climates all over the world. This is the oleander. Its lush, evergreen foliage and its profusion of stunning flowers in shades of white, pink, red, or yellow make it a popular ornamental choice. But behind this beautiful facade lies a killer. Every single part of the oleander plant is poisonous. The leaves, the flowers, the stems, the bark, the roots, and even the nectar contain potent cardiac glycosides. The two most significant of these toxins are oleandrin and nerian. These compounds are incredibly powerful and have a direct and dangerous effect on the heart. They are so toxic that in some parts of the world, oleander is known as a common agent for suicide. Ingestion is the most serious route of exposure. Even a single leaf, if eaten, can be fatal to a child. The toxins disrupt the delicate electrical balance of the heart, interfering with the sodium-potassium pump mechanism in cardiac cells. The initial symptoms of poisoning can include nausea, vomiting, intense stomach pain, and drooling. These gastrointestinal symptoms are often followed by more serious neurological and cardiac effects. As the poison takes hold, the heart rate can become dangerously slow and irregular, a condition known as bradycardia. Other symptoms can include dizziness, drowsiness, tremors, and seizures. The pupils may become dilated. Without prompt and aggressive medical treatment, the disruption to the heart's rhythm can lead to cardiac arrest and death. It is a swift and brutal poison, hidden within a beautiful flower. The danger is not just from deliberate ingestion. Cases of poisoning have been reported from people using oleander sticks as skewers to roast food over a fire. The heat causes the toxins to leach from the wood into the food, with tragic consequences. Similarly, inhaling the smoke from burning oleander wood is extremely hazardous and can cause severe poisoning. Even drinking water in which oleander flowers have been placed can be dangerous. While less severe than ingestion, simple skin contact can also cause problems for some individuals. The sap can cause skin irritation, redness, and dermatitis, similar to a mild allergic reaction. It is always wise to wear gloves when pruning or handling oleander shrubs to avoid any potential skin issues, and more importantly, to prevent accidental transfer of the toxins from your hands to your mouth. Despite its extreme toxicity, the plant's bitter taste usually prevents most animals and people from consuming a lethal dose accidentally. The initial bite is so unpleasant that it is often spat out immediately. However, accidents can and do happen, particularly with curious children and pets who may not know better. Its widespread use in public landscaping makes this a particularly concerning issue. The plant's toxicity is its primary defense mechanism against being eaten. It is remarkably drought-tolerant and hardy, allowing it to thrive in conditions where other plants might struggle. This resilience, combined with its beautiful blooms, is what has made it so popular with gardeners and landscapers who sometimes seem unaware of or unconcerned by its deadly nature. It is a stark example of how easily we can be deceived by appearances in the natural world. We are conditioned to associate beauty with goodness and safety, but the oleander subverts this expectation completely. It is a living paradox, a plant celebrated for the very beauty that conceals its lethal power. It serves as a crucial reminder to never assume a plant is safe simply because it is pretty or common. Before planting anything in your garden, especially if you have children or pets, it is vital to research its properties. The oleander looks magnificent lining a driveway or blooming in a pot on a patio, but its presence requires constant vigilance. Knowledge is the only true defense against this beautiful killer. Never underestimate the power locked within its glossy leaves and vibrant petals. Our journey through this gallery of dangerous flora has shown us that the world of plants is not always as benign as it seems. Beauty can be a mask, and the most alluring flower or the most inviting shade can conceal a potent threat. The giant hogweed, poison ivy, the Manchineel tree, the stinging nettle, and the oleander each employ a unique and effective strategy for self-defense. They are masters of chemical warfare, silent guardians of their own space, and they command our utmost respect and caution. The purpose of this exploration has not been to instill fear of the natural world, but to foster a deeper, more informed respect for it. Nature is not malicious, it is simply indifferent to our safety. These plants are not evil, they are products of millions of years of evolution, having developed these toxins to survive and thrive. It is our responsibility, as intelligent inhabitants of this planet, to learn its rules and to understand the risks it presents. Arming yourself with knowledge is the single most important step you can take. Learn to identify the dangerous plants that grow in your region. Teach your children what to look for and what to avoid. Take precautions when you venture into wild spaces, or even when gardening in your own backyard. The ability to distinguish a harmless plant from a harmful one is a critical skill. Remember what you have seen here today and carry that knowledge with you. If you see any of these plants, don't touch them. Your health and safety depend on it.